time for another Elsie's Little Pickles, the Pickle Pod for the people. Reminding you to not forget to do your Pickle Pod protest by putting a pickle on the porch of a MAGA supporter, taking a picture of it, and sending it to us at elsieslittlepickles@gmail.com. With that being said...
if you can, take that pickle and spear 2 little olives on each side of it.
That's even better. Make sure the pimentos are pointed up.
That's right. Get the cock and balls out on the porches.
Break out the cock and balls. Well, we have the originals, the founders of ELP. It's me and Kiefer. We do not have Colton tonight, but let's move forward with the news.
The news.
News.
One of the things that I've had lined up for a little bit here since last week when I overslept.
Well, I mean,
Trump orders the elimination of 7.
Hold on. In all fairness, you were fighting a cold too. So I mean,
yes.
We're not going to just say that you overslept.
Particularly nasty cold. It was worse than when I had COVID.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you were all kinds of fucked up. So
I'm still getting over it.
Yeah, I know you are. But to say that,
and the other half, I think, is getting it again.
Oh, great, good for you.
It's like a circle.
Yeah, you can just pass it.
I figure by next week I'll be sick again.
Yeah, probably. You can just pass it back and forth. But like, I don't think that it's fair to say that you just slept through the pod because of how fucking.
Well, I set an alarm and slept right through all 7 alarms.
That's what I'm saying.
Of them.
Is
to the point where I don't even remember them going up.
Well, this is my point. I'm not trying to make excuses for you, but I think that you just fluffing it off as you overslept is a little bit
by 6 hours.
Yeah,
I woke up all I actually feel refreshed,
and that's why
we go do the podcast. What time? Midnight.
Yeah, and that's my point. It's one thing to oversleep. Okay, it's another thing to have what you had and are still getting over and just call it oversleeping. I mean,
which oversleeping. It's really an interesting feeling if you think about it, because many times, like, I've woken up way past my alarm, and I'm just like, I feel really good now.
Yeah,
like I needed that sleep. What time? Oh, crap.
Yeah. Oh, well, there goes that day.
I missed something, but I'm well rested.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Now we can get to the news.
All right. Trump orders elimination of 7 federal agencies, including the USAGM.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Say it again.
Trump orders the elimination of 7 federal agencies, including USAGM.
Okay. Well,
it targeted the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service, the Woodrow Wilson say that 2 times fast. Jesus. Woodrow Wilson, I'm going to need you to change your name. The Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars. Deep breath. Institute of Museum and Library Services, the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness, the Community Developmental Financial Institutions Fund, and the Minority Business Development Agency.
Well, of course, we do not want minorities developing businesses. That means then...
But it gets better.
Oh, wait. Let's have more.
Not only did they eliminate these, but also the law that forbids contractors or businesses creating segregated areas, drinking fountains, bathrooms, has now been wiped off the books.
Oh, good. Oh, good. That's awesome.
Yes.
So basically,
while the rest of the world wakes up an hour forward with daylight savings time, Washington, D.C. has woken up in 1839.
Well, I honestly don't know what to say, because, again, this is one of those things where it's like, it doesn't surprise me. Does it? I mean, does this surprise you at all?
From them, no. That this is happening in the United States of America, yes.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing, is that we are not in the United States. Geographically, we are. But realistically, we are in the United States of America of 1870. You know,
Yeah.
this is
It's taken everything back so far, I would say, to the 1950s.
well, I think it's gone further than that.
Yeah.
But
It will go even further with, the potentially taking away women's rights to vote. They've already taken away their ability to manage their own bodies. So we got knocked back to the 70s. Now we've been knocked back to the 50s,
yeah,
back
I
to
mean,
the 40s, because there's now a world war apparently looming.
there is, I think. I honestly think there is. Now, we can get into that later, or I can make a quick comment now. Your choice.
My quick comment on it is I'm not really sure which side the U.S. is going to be on.
Well, that's the thing is hey, it seems like we're not on the good side anymore with him at the helm.
We've hit that point where an invading army for the allies would show up on our shores. Over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not fighting you. We agree with you. You got to go that way.
But see, again, it just drives me nuts because it's like in such a short period of time, but Hitler did it too. And I'm not making the comparison. I'm just saying that the timelines work in a very short period of time, creating this complete chaos.
Should we perpetuate that whole myth of he doesn't sound like Hitler when he's doing a whole lot that is the same? Between
it's a tough,
some of the laws that they're removing, some of the ideas that they're proposing, the whole pink triangle thing.
Oh yeah, that was something.
I mean, the Nazi salutes, because quite frankly, if you don't think they, Elon and what's his name, whatever, Egghead, I'll call him. If you don't think that he also did that Nazi salute, you can go fuck yourself. That was a Nazi salute, very much so by Elon.
I gotta tell you, I'm always willing to give the benefit of the doubt. As you know that I'm far more likely to give the benefit of the doubt than I am to cast an aspersion, right? I'm willing to give all of them the benefit of the doubt that they didn't mean a Nazi salute. I am willing to give that benefit of the doubt. What I'm not willing to do is to deny the reality on the ground of what they're proposing. And what they're proposing, forget the Nazi salute, what they're proposing falls in line with a lot of Nazi propaganda and a lot of Nazi positions.
Right.
In 38, you know what I mean? 37, 38, 39, 40. So when it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, maybe it's a fucking duck.
Yes.
Now, here's the problem that I run into. We have a right wing.
I feel like we're the knight of the round table in Monty Python. And what else floats on water? Very small pebbles.
No. A duck.
Correct.
But I'm in.
By the way, Elon's Tesla dealership in Vegas apparently burned.
Oh yeah, there was a ton of. I actually got into a conversation not too long ago, earlier today, about when does political violence become acceptable, and it was based off of the idea that cars are being burned, Teslas are being destroyed, Teslas are being damaged, Trump properties are being vandalized, and
two board members of Tesla Corp sold off $100 million worth of stocks to get the fuck out of that company.
Well, I didn't know about that, but good for them. They should get the fuck out, and they should take their money with them. I mean,
they dumped the stock.
So the 100 million each.
Correct, sir.
That's a
big chunk of money.
That's a big chunk of money. 200 million. But the conversation of when is violence appropriate in a political situation?
Is it violence if nobody is hurt?
Well, it is. I mean, it's not violent.
Otherwise, could I just call the dealership? The cars were on fire, so they were exploding.
Yeah, and
But it was just like expensive fireworks.
well, it's vandalism. And that's actually a very valid point that you make. Is there's a difference between political vandalism and political violence. I think political violence is when both sides are involved and people are getting hurt. I guess is a way to classify.
Is there an over-under bet that someone will take off in a SpaceX rocket and just go joyriding?
That would be
Because you
fun.
haven't heard about anything with SpaceX other than they went up and
picked up the astronauts. Yeah. I mean, that's something though. I mean, look, we can hate on Elon all we want, but the fact of the matter is he's going to, his company is going to make sure that 2 astronauts that got stranded on the International Space Station get back safely.
I feel like that wasn't even his call.
No, actually, I think it was his call.
It might have been.
No. Well, the way that it was explained, he said that he went to the Biden administration and offered to do that, and they declined. Now, I don't know why they declined or what the deal was, but then when it kind of came back around, it was like those windows were closed for them to be able to do that. And they had to wait for that launch window to be opened up again.
I have a question. How long were those people up there?
200 and some odd days. I don't remember if it was 208.
How much further than when they were supposed to be?
Oh, they were only supposed to be up there, I think, 8 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this was a big deal. Like this was supposed to be like less than 2 weeks or something like that. And 8 days to 2 weeks or something. And it expanded to 3/4, if not almost the entire year. They got stuck up there. Now, thankfully, the space station is stocked with food, stocked with supplies. They didn't have to worry about whether or not they were going to make it.
They could always poop and grow potatoes.
Yeah, well, but then we got to get Matt Damon on the fucking thing and explaining everything. Anyway, point being, you got to give credit where credit's due. And whether you like Elon or you don't, and my view of Elon has drastically changed towards the negative, but this particular company of his is bringing home 2 astronauts. So good on them for that. But the idea of what's political violence, I guess, and when is it appropriate? My instinct is to say never. But the reality is that we both know historically that's never been the case. And we also know that going into summer, there's a potential for some shit to go down. And what will be interesting is how that goes down, because this isn't going to be a George Floyd, or this isn't going to be a Black Lives Matter thing. This is going to be about democracy at this point. And while I condemn the actions that happened in the people who took them on January 6th, I do understand them if they were truly believing that the president of the United States was calling on his supporters and saying democracy was falling apart. I can understand how they would get confused. However, like I said in this previous conversation, my problem with that was there was ample evidence from over 60 judges that was not the case. So, in my opinion, it takes a lot to get to the point where political violence happens, and hopefully it never happens, and I would never encourage it. But is Elon's dealerships, because I don't think they're Elon's, or is every Tesla dealership owned by Tesla?
Great question.
I don't know. Okay, so if every dealership, or the ones at least that were being targeted, were actually owned by Tesla, I can understand the desire to do that, but I don't think that gets us anywhere in the debate. I don't think that helps.
Yeah, sorry, I got distracted there for a second. I keep hearing a noise, and I was trying to figure out, because it kind of sounded like typical bear noise.
Oh,
like outside, like growling, and I'm like, what is that? Because I can hear it through the microphone.
Turns out it's your belly.
Off my ear. No, it's my dog snoring. That's why I'm sitting all weird, like sideways, because he is taking up all of the floor space.
Oh, that's nice of him.
I don't want him to feel cramped in
No, God forbid.
10 square feet that he needs to take up.
All right, next news story.
All right. Trump says Biden's pardons are now void and vacant after auto pen controversy.
Which is bullshit. That's just bullshit.
Which he has used auto pens.
Look, every president has to use auto pens. There's just too many things for them to sign. They would be sitting there signing shit all day long. Now, you could argue that if a pardon was that important, they might actually think about, I don't know, signing it in a black Sharpie that's obnoxiously large and then holding it up and showing the camera that they can sign their name and make a big deal of it and have a smug smile. I don't know that any of that's necessary. The intent is the intent.
No.
And
as the law, or I should say, I think it's Article 2, doesn't actually state that it even needs to be written.
Yeah. I was always under the impression that it was, you could get away with a verbal, an audible call on that.
Omaha.
Yeah.
Audible.
But, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a legal scholar by any stretch of the imagination. However, everyone knew what happened. Everyone knew what the intent was. And regardless of auto pen or Biden's faculties being in check or out of check, the intent was known. So fuck you, Trump.
In retaliation, Trump has taken away Secret Service protection from Biden's family.
Yes, he took, Hunter Biden and Ashley. Ashley, is it?
Yes.
Those two lost their Secret Service protection. I don't think Ashley really, no one's going, oh, let's go get Ashley Biden. Hunter, on the other hand, this could be a problem for him, and he'll probably have to hire, personal security at his own expense. I think that's bullshit. I think, you see him taking away, all kinds of things from everyone. So, like, he took away from Biden himself the daily briefings. That's just being petty. He's just being a petty little cunt. And that's what he is. That's what Trump is. He's a petty little cunt dictator wannabe. And it's time for at least us to start calling him what he is. He's a petty cunt dictator wannabe. And it's time for people to sit up, take notice, and recognize that you voted in a petty cunt dictator wannabe. That's my take. Can I say petty cunt?
I would like to
dictator?
see ahead of that.
Yeah. Can I say petty cunt dictator wannabe anymore? Yeah, I can. I can say petty cunt dictator wannabe is what Trump is, and that's what he'll always be.
In similar news, Donald Trump tweeted out, and I quote, "They, his handlers, ripped Sleepy Joe off stage yesterday when he got lost in a mental fog. A disaster. Very little reporting on this." To which a man by the name of Noel Kessler replied to him directly on Twitter, or Twix, if you will, saying, and I quote, "As a former handler of you and your family on Celebrity Apprentice, I remember the time that you soiled yourself in the middle of a take, and Venky had to tell you that we needed to take a break as you were lost in a benzo/Adderall haze. Keith Schiller changed your depends."
I hope that's true. I do. I don't know. I'm sorry that makes me sound petty. But if that's, when people come forward with stories like that, I always take it with a very, very large grain of salt. Okay. Because you don't know if this is somebody that has a personal grievance against them. You don't know if the story's true. I don't know if there's any way to, confirm that story. I don't know if there's any tape of that story. If there's tape, it would have been better
if he called him shitbrick.
But I mean, at the end of the day, you always find yourself wondering, is this just somebody with an axe to grind, or is this a real story? I don't doubt that Trump takes Adderall I don't doubt. I mean,
Well,
I'll tell you why.
We've seen the pictures of him on the golf course where he shit his drawers.
Yeah. Now they can argue that he sat down in something. They could argue, but it did look like he shit his drawers.
Yeah,
and I don't really. I don't remember.
Diarrhea, cha cha cha. Diarrhea, cha cha cha.
Some say it's gross, but it's really great on toast. Diarrhea, cha cha cha. Diarrhea. Some think it's funny, but it's really runny. Diarrhea, yeah, all that. I just don't remember any other president, and this back and forth too. Okay, so people say Trump shit his pants, and that he's on drugs and this and that, and then Trump says, "No, you shit your pants." It's childlike. This isn't politics. It's playground politics. And the idea that we should...
I had to sneeze.
Yeah.
And a shot out of my butt.
And let's be honest, okay? At their age, is it really surprising that they might shit themselves?
Did you see the photo? Because he tweeted out that he was proud that he won some at his golf club golfing championship the last weekend.
No, I didn't see that, but I mean, it's
all he does is golf.
Yeah.
And there was one other person that was involved.
So it was just him and one person?
Yeah.
And granted, that person's not going to beat the owner of the course, the owner of the club, who also happens to be the president of the United States. So, I
mean, even if the person was like, oh, you know what? Fuck this guy. I'm going to kick his ass all over the court or the golf course. Secret Service is like,
yeah, you don't want to do that.
We've got guns on you.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. I don't know, man. I just like it. Just seems seems so petty anymore.
In other news, Kristi Noem says 200 million DHS campaign thinking Trump was his idea, because apparently the DHS bought ads on TV and radio thanking Trump for closing the border.
Oh, well, that was worth the money.
As someone ran the numbers, 200 million would have paid 2,500 national parks employees about 80,000 per year.
Yeah. Well, how much would his golf tab pay for? I mean, we're not even full 2 months in, and he's well over 10 million. I think they said it's $3 million every time he goes golfing. Well, he goes golfing every fucking weekend.
And this is why I bite people.
And this is why I bite people. Yeah, it's depressing, man. I mean, look.
When people tell me why, or not tell me, they'll ask me why I support one party over the other. And granted, I don't agree with a lot of things of the Democrats, but under Obama, 2 people died of Ebola, and they wanted Obama to resign. 4 people died in Benghazi, and Hillary went through 11 hours.
Yeah. Plus all that was
hearings.
Yeah, the 11 hours is one fucking hearing.
Yeah, one hearing.
Okay.
But under Trump, 881,776 COVID deaths.
Yeah, but that's
armed
different.
Insurrection and theft of classified ads, yet they cheer.
Yeah, no, it's all different, man. Don't you know that Obama was black and Hillary's a woman?
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What were you fucking thinking? That's it though. I mean, they've become not only the presidency because of Trump.
It's Idiocracy.
It is
Idiocracy, the movie.
It is absolutely Idiocracy, the movie. But here's the thing. They have, under Trump, not only have the Republicans become a caricature of what they're supposed to be.
Yes.
So have the Democrats.
Yes.
So that, I mean, the episode we did, and it was part 1 of Time to Start a New Party. That was the one that you had missed.
I listened to it today.
And that is an example of the reasoning why we're doing that small series. People don't understand that you need serious people running the government, not these clowns. And I say clowns on both sides. I'm so over Chuck Schumer for giving in.
Yeah, I am pissed about that.
Well,
Fuck you,
look,
Schumer.
I've never been a fan, let's say, of Schumer. And I think that people need to be able to do that. I think you need to be able to go, look, I may be a Democrat. And I would say up until this year, I have been a Democrat. I don't know that I'm a Democrat moving forward unless the party gets their shit together. Because what they're doing now is not the Democrat Party I recognize. Laying down and rolling over so that Trump can rub your little white old belly and say thank you is not what should have happened. Especially when you had the people who would have been affected the most by that, the union workers of the government, saying, don't agree to this. This is bullshit. We'd rather take, the loss than agree to this. And they still didn't have the courage to do that because they were afraid that Elon and Trump would then decide what programs. Well, they're already doing that. They would decide what departments to keep open and what programs to keep going, and it would have been worse. That's already happening, you dumb fuck. Don't you see that? Maybe it's time to get rid of the flip phone and go to a fucking smartphone so that you can actually read the news and find out what the fuck is going on in the country that you're supposed to be helping to run.
By the way, Trump is talking about going after the January 6th committee.
Oh, I know he is. That's why why do you think he knocked down the pardon?
Yeah. Which, did you hear Kinzinger respond?
No, I did not.
Yeah. His exact words were literally, "Bring it. I dare you."
Good. You know what? Look, I disagree.
Really want to see him get back involved.
I
like his fighting spirit.
I do. I like his fighting spirit. You know what I mean? Look, I never in a million years, because there were plenty of things. Kinzinger was on my radar before the January 6th committee and all that stuff, because he was one of those guys who, while I disagreed with a lot of his policies, I also agreed with a lot of the ways that he presented his position. And I agreed with, he was a fighter.
The moment I started paying attention to him was when Josh Hawley said something about January 6th, that it was a bunch of peaceful protesters, and Kinzinger called him out right there in the floor saying, "Bullshit. I had to sit on top of you because you were crying."
Mm-hmm. Right. And look, I don't think Kinzinger falls under Democrat or Republican. I think he falls under Patriot. I think that...
Yeah, that's a good description.
You know what I mean? Like, even at this point, for all my disagreements with Liz Cheney, the way that she stood up with Adam and fought to find out what was right, what was wrong, what was up, what was down, what happened, I think that they're both more patriots than they are party. And for that, if either of them were to run in an election which I could vote for them, I probably would. And I wouldn't do it because I necessarily agree with their policies even. I would do it because I agree with their character and the conviction of their character.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
he seems like an honest guy.
He's
going to call a strike or a ball a ball.
And yes, he might have his political slant or his political lean, but there was a time in this country where we could appreciate, okay, well, we may not agree on A, B, and C, but we agree on D, E, and F, or we agree on A, C, and we can agree on these things. Let's start there. And that's what Kinzinger specifically is about. Now, with Liz Cheney, I think she's through and through a Republican. I think she's through and through basically a neoconservative Republican. Again, I disagree with those policies. But that's also something you can have an honest debate about back and forth. You can actually sit down. You could sit down with either of them and go, policy by policy, and you could say, I disagree with you on this, and this is the reason why. And they would say, okay, well, I disagree with that assessment, and here's the reason why. And chances are, you may not come to an agreement, but you would end that conversation shaking hands and going, that was a good conversation. Good luck to you on your end. And they would say, good luck to you on your end. And it was a matter of what's going to push the country forward. I believe wholeheartedly that everyone in this country, everyone, Trump included, right? Which I know is a big step on this one. It's a stretch on this one. But I believe that there is a modicum, a slant, a sliver, a piece, at least, a very, even no matter how small, of people in this country that want what's best for the country, regardless of their own political beliefs. I do believe that in general, even so, as an example, you disagree with this particular policy or this particular law or whatever, right? You disagree with it. It gets passed. You see that it actually achieves the ends that you do agree with. Now, you may not approve of how we got there, but you do at least approve of the fact that the end result is where you want it to be. If not perfectly, at least in the ballpark of that bullseye is where you landed. And then you can go, okay, well, I don't like how we got here, but I appreciate that we're here. That's gone. That's gone.
I sometimes feel like it is gone and gone forever.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is there are things that are disappearing under Trump's control that may not be able to be ever gotten back. So even though I think Trump, in his own twisted way, thinks he's doing the right thing and thinks that he's moving the country forward for the best, I do think that. I do think that he believes his own bullshit. But I also believe that when it comes to these decisions, he's only making these decisions based on how he feels. It doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to have, like, there doesn't have to be a study done to figure out whether or not this is a good idea or a bad idea. He's just going, I feel like this today. Okay, well, what if you feel different tomorrow? Oh, wait, we already know how that works. You know how we know how that works? It's a thing called tariffs. Today, you're getting a tariff. Tomorrow, I talk to you for an hour and a half. You're not getting a tariff. The next day, I had a bad golf game. You're getting a tariff. Well, that's chaos. That's volatility. That's nothing that business likes. That's nothing that world leaders like. That's nothing that...
Right.
There's nothing good about chaos when it comes to the only superpower left in the fucking world being the one that's creating the chaos. There's no room for that. We took the mantle of being the last superpower. Are we willing to give that up to China? Are we willing to give that up to Russia? Are we willing to give that up to anyone? Well, I would say that we're not. And I would even go so far as to say that Trump thinks that that's a bad idea. But what he doesn't understand is that's exactly what he's doing. Within the chaos he creates is a vacuum that needs to be filled. And that power vacuum will get filled one way or another, whether it's by an adversary or an ally. It will get filled. And this chaos that he's created in less than 60 days has already shown that. So it's time for people to start waking up. It is time for people to start calling it what it is. It's an authoritarian, dictator, cunt wannabe. Well, I use that reverse. He's a cunt, authoritarian, dictator wannabe.
Get that order right, sir.
Well, I mean, it's easy to make mistakes. But that's a fact.
And in other news, you ready for this one?
I don't know if I am.
Trump believes the U.S. will annex Greenland and has said so as the NATO leader tells him the organization will sit out a potential takeover.
All right. So what do dictators do? They try to go after more land. They Tate dicks. Yeah.
I could. That is my dictate.
But this is a fact. When you're the United States and you start trying to annex other countries, Canada, Greenland, when you start doing that, that's the
Whispers
behavior.
are going around that there's going to be a takeover in Panama shortly.
Oh, U.S. taking over?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's going to happen. I would be shocked if that doesn't happen. But that's not even the point. The point is there's no way you can be a democratic republic if your only goal is to try to steal other people's land. When you get to the point, I mean, isn't that why we're seeing the war between Ukraine and Russia? And what is Putin? Some motherfucker's been in power for 26 fucking years or so, right?
Yeah. Which apparently there's a partial ceasefire now between Russia and...
Yeah, don't believe that for a second. There was a fucking ceasefire between Hamas and Israel, and that went to shit. And then you have Yemen pop in. That's the small story that no one's paying attention to, is Yemen. Okay? That's going to be the fucking tinderbox. That's going to be where the spark ignites, right? And the thing is we've been dealing with this through Obama, Trump, Biden, and Trump again. This issue with Yemen. But what just happened, and the strikes that Trump called for on Yemen, it's always that little fucked up side country where you don't expect something to ever fucking create a world war. That's where it happens. Always. So I could see Yemen retaliating because of the fact that Israel bombed Hamas, and now they're trying to close the shipping lanes and causing problems with the U.S., well, with every ship, but U.S. ships going through this lane. And guess what? It's the small thing that creates the spark that lights the whole motherfucker on fire. So what we need to be doing, everyone, no matter what country is listening, no matter what country you're from, we're talking about the potential for another world war. Pay attention to the small stories. Pay attention to those little things that you think, that what I don't care about. Yeah, you should care. You better fucking care. Anyway.
J.D. Vance has proposed major changes to the election process.
J.D. Vance doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground, but what is he proposing?
I actually agree with him on this, but it is to declare Election Day a national holiday so that people didn't have to work.
You know what? I never thought I would say I agree with that dumb fuck J.D. Vance, but
I know.
You know
I feel
what?
like
that makes.
I need to see a psychologist because I agree.
But that gets to the point that I made earlier. You have to give credit where credit is due. It's like I've said 1,000 times in this podcast. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. And if you can't acknowledge that, then you're not being honest about the debate or discussion. You know what I mean? Like, at least be honest about it. And being honest about it means having to give credit to J.D. Vance. Fine. But at least it's honest.
And judge rules that doggies, USA dismantling likely violates Constitution.
I would say it probably does. So
But I'm an ass.
All right. I don't think I've said this on the pod before, but I'm going to say it now. I think...
On the pod or on the pot?
I've said it on the pot, not on the pod. I think...
And when you say pot, do you mean the pot or the
pot? No, the podcast. You dick. I think that the critical error that the Trump administration is making, and Trump himself, is thinking that we don't know as a community, as a country, what he's doing. He thinks he's being sly. But we've had this go around before. It just didn't work as quickly, right? So the thing is that his first term he learned how the levers work in government.
Yeah.
And the second term is him exploiting all of that. All right. So this gets back to what I was saying about political violence. And again, I don't think I would ever call for it. I really don't. However, him throwing that much spaghetti at the wall that quickly and hoping that whatever sticks will be so abstract and discombobulating, and it's working right now. The news can't keep up with his antics. Every day it's something different. Like,
Yeah, it's like a gish gallop of news.
That's what it is a gish gallop. But what he's doing, like today, last week, the fucking stock market took a shit.
Yes.
Over the weekend, he violated a judge's order regarding the Alien Insurrection Act. And then, was it yesterday or today? I'm not quite sure. I think it was yesterday, he released the JFK files.
Well, I haven't even read anything about that yet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So,
which makes me ask, how soon is the FBI going to release the Epstein files?
Yeah. Well, you would think it would already be done. You would think. But
Bondi has asked for them several times.
But
it's almost as if there's somebody in the files
that they're trying to protect.
Yeah. It's crazy. What do you think that could be?
I have no idea. But if I had a guess, I would think if we were playing, was it Wheel of Fortune?
Wheel
of Fortune.
Fortune.
I definitely think my first guess would be a T and there would be a P in my guesses.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. But here's what I think is the problem with this all.
A T with a P, which makes me say, are you
T? And I don't hope for this necessarily. Well, I wouldn't say I don't hope for it. I got to take that back. I do hope for this. I hope that people wake up, and they seem to be waking up. You're seeing more protests. You're seeing more protests every weekend. Last weekend, we saw it with Trump Tower. We saw it, I think, in New York. I believe there was a scattered protests, aside from the violence that happened to the dealerships, the Teslas, the this, that, and the other thing. But I think the biggest problem that he's going to face is the wait what. And the wait what comes to full fruition just as the weather's breaking. So you're going to see all these people, whether they're veterans, senior citizens, whether they're government employees, whether they're military that is now veterans that work for the government that are being let go because of Doge. I think what you're going to see is very, very large protests. And I think you're going to see, I think you're going to see that across the country all through the summer.
Got a question for you.
Yeah.
How much money do you think was spent on Obama's golf trips in 8 years?
Gosh, that's tough. But if I were to guess over the course of 8 years, less than 15 mil.
Yes. The exact number is 8 million.
8 million.
Now, how much money, taxpayer money, has been spent on Trump's golfing trips just since he's been president?
Well, according to what I've read, every time he goes golfing, because he likes to go to Mar-a-Lago or one of his resorts, it's about 3 million. So he, after 3 weekends being in office, was already at like 9.4 million or something like that.
As of right now, it's 18 million.
18 million, and he's only been in office for what, 7 weeks?
Yes.
But we're gonna cut federal workers. Yeah. See, and that's the thing. Yeah. There's a level of hypocrisy I don't think people fully understand. I think once they start realizing that the amount of money that he spends going golfing is enough to fund these people's jobs for a year.
Which, by the way, in other news, Trump terminates program tracking mass abductions of Ukrainian children.
For what reason? Does it even say a reason?
Well, he probably gets a kickback on the child exploitation.
There's got to be some sort of okay, tell me
He's looking for his next wife.
Tell me that the program doesn't work. All right?
He's done with Slovenia.
He wants to move on to Ukraine. Well, Ukrainian women, they're fucking hot. But
speaking of that, not to sound insensitive, but there's a lot of Ukrainian cam models. Have you noticed this?
Oh, I know that. Well, it's there was a guy I used to work with who.
Oh, that's right.
Remember I told this story, right?
Yeah.
And she was Ukrainian. I'm going to tell you something. The Ukrainian online sex worker, call it OnlyFans, call it whatever you want, is huge. And it's because they're fucking gorgeous. Ukrainian women are fucking gorgeous. They're like Swedish women, or
I was just thinking that the 80s Swedish woman.
Yeah, I mean, but even when you look at the past Olympics,
70s and 80s.
Even if you look at just this past Olympics, there was that Swedish chick that was, I think she was track and field, and no matter what, I mean, I wasn't trying to be a pig.
No, it wasn't you. I swear to God, the Olympics had a cameraman whose entire job
was to follow her
and get shots of her butt.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, look,
that dude got a raise.
She was absolutely,
and not just in his pants.
She was absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Objectively, not even oh, that's just my type, because she's not my type. I'm not into blondes. I'm not really into fair skin. You know what I mean? I'm more into brunettes with a little bit of olive.
So it's a blonde hair, blue eye guy.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, opposites attract.
I just look in the mirror.
Yeah. If I want to see that shit, I can just stand naked in front of a mirror. Get me a 3-way mirror, bitch. I'll take care of myself. But I honestly, I don't know if people fully can grasp. And it's one thing to joke about the Ukrainian women, but give us reasons. Show us some proof why these programs aren't working. We'll support it. I'll support it. I don't support your policies at all, but show me, why was it so important to just rush to cut and slash, right? Well, the reason is the more spaghetti you throw at the wall, the more distracted people are, and the more likely they are to not know if they should be upset or not upset. And that's why I say, I think we're coming to the, I got to be honest with you. I think it will be amazing if Trump makes it 6 months into his presidency without major pushback from the protesting public.
Look at the whole trans word. Put that in front of anything, and he sparks outrage. The transgenic mice,
which was ridiculous. Yeah, because transgenic, people don't understand. That was a way to make the mice more accepting of the medication, because it would put them more towards a human reaction.
Yes.
So he thinks
and transgenic monkeys. That's the new one.
But again, he thinks this means that boy monkeys are putting on fucking lipstick and dresses. Girl mice are putting
Watch Bugs Bunny
TV. Fucking girl mice are suddenly wearing hardcore denim with biker wallets. You know what I mean? And on their way to a softball game. These are mice and monkeys, and you have to do that research, and you have to do that to get so that you can actually go, is this safe to move forward in human testing? So what he's doing, because he's so worried about the word trans and not understanding what the science is, he's literally removing
and their followers. All I can picture is them sitting around stewing in their own hatred. Fucking mice with thigh-high heels.
Yeah.
Mouse wiener.
Yes. Okay. But effectively what he's doing is
my piece of cheese.
He's preventing medical research for cancer. He's preventing it for heart disease. He's preventing it because he's so worried about the word trans and not understanding what comes after that S and what it means.
I feel sorry for that Siberian orchestra. You're welcome.
Oh shit! Oh god! They're not gonna be allowed in the Kennedy Center.
No, they are not.
Did you see JD and his wife get fucking booed at the
No, I didn't.
No one's ever. There was an article I read. I don't know if this is true or not, but the article I read was never have there been boos in the Kennedy Center because it's not a place where people, like would boo, right? But this motherfucker comes in with, they're like, boo. Get the how do you feel?
Vance is probably like, security cut off the alcohol.
Yeah, or whatever. I mean, yeah, I don't know if he stuck around for the whole thing, but it would be interesting to know if he did. But how can you feel comfortable?
Security, push out the trans monkeys onto the stage, please.
And the funny thing is, he doesn't understand that probably some of those performers are trans. They're definitively LGBTQ plus in that, you don't, I don't know anyone who's ever, that both, well, you didn't work backstage, but I worked backstage at a number of productions, and you don't have a musical without some LGBTQ plus. You just don't. You don't have it. Like that's a take away LGBTQ plus. You're gonna lose a lot. You're gonna lose your musicals. You're going to lose your Disney characters, the live, the people that are dressed up in Disney. You're going to lose all of the show people that do the shows at Disney, right? Like that was part of the thing, like the that went on with DeSantis. And it's like, of course Disney's going to support LGBTQ plus rights. That's the vast majority of their workforce.
Yeah.
So maybe just bring it down a notch.
Have you ever seen the video of the girl touching the boobs of the bad guy from Beauty and the Beast?
Beast?
No. He isn't the bad guy. Oh, there's even a song with his name in it.
Gaston or something like that? No.
Yeah, Gaston.
The
guy that plays Gaston. She's taking a photo with him and she squeezes his boob because he's supposed to be muscular.
Mm-hmm.
He was not having it. He was like, "That's not appropriate.
No,
you're gonna have to leave." And he called security over. And she's like, "What's the big deal?" And she like taps his boobs again, and he's like, "No, that's not appropriate in any situation." He's just like, "No, ma'am."
You know what though? The character or the person that was playing that character is right. That's not appropriate. Come on, read the room. Know the circumstance.
Well, I mean, it's funny because he was literally offended, but very professional about it. Like,
well, good.
No, ma'am. That's not appropriate. But you saw him look around when she did it. Like, it was straight up, "Ma'am, there are children here."
Yeah. No, and that's the way it's supposed to be. But that gets to what I'm saying here is that there's a time and place for everything. And just because somebody is LGBTQ plus or whatever they are, doesn't mean that they can't be around children. It doesn't mean that they're trying to attract or groom children. It doesn't mean that they're attracted to children. It means that they're just not straight. They're not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, can't we just accept the fact that those people exist, give them the same fucking rights that everyone else has, and leave it the fuck alone? Now, with that being said,
they want equal rights.
With that being said, you know what I mean? Even the LGBTQ has a
Yeah,
little
my
bit of
only
they have a
issue
little
with
bit of a
them-
problem with tea.
Yeah, my only issue with them is that it's hard to say all of that in one sentence.
It is. It's getting to be
Because I get worried that I'm forgetting a letter.
right. And I get worried that this is going to
And
end
I'm
up.
not making a joke out of that.
No,
I'm saying
this is the same. I'm not making a joke out of it, but I'm afraid that at some point that's going to become a roadside sobriety test.
yes.
You know what I mean? And just like when they said say the alphabet backwards, I don't know that I could ever do that. I couldn't do that sober. I definitely couldn't do that if I've been drinking. You know what I mean? Or walk the straight line. I can't do that sober. I mean, like my equilibrium is not. I don't have good balance like that. I couldn't do that, and I'm afraid that then
Can
like
you
once
count backwards from 46 to 37, but leave out 41? No.
no.
I am OCD. That is a nightmare.
I'm gonna have to touch. I'm gonna have to touch something that is a door handle 4 times before I even think about doing that. But again, I think that getting back to the Trump thing, I think that this over that his biggest mistake is throwing everything out there as quickly as possible, because I think that what it's going to do is put him in a position where right out of the gate, his first summer is going to be pretty fucking miserable. And I don't think that it's going to be much more than 6 months into his presidency. I think that, in less than 6 months of his presidency, he's going to be dealing with so much pushback from the general public, whether they supported him and voted for him or not. I think a lot of people who voted for him are really coming around to the wait what and realizing, oh, that's not what I wanted. And this isn't where I want our country to go.
Well, along that lines is we need to discuss really quick how soon we are in a dictatorship, because we are currently in a constitutional crisis
We are definitely in a constitutional crisis after
on
that.
two pages. between
Well, my
the
first page,
deportation
yes.
and the U.S. aid.
I don't know about the U.S. aid being part of that constitutional crisis. I would have to really sit with that for a while before I could call it a constitutional crisis on that part. That's not to say that you're wrong. It's just to say that I can't fully agree with you on that yet. I will fully agree with you. A constitutional crisis is happening regarding the Alien Enemies Act and the deportation of the 200 people who are quote unquote violent Venezuelan gang members.
Which, by the way, 2 notes in there. One is that they were being flown to El Salvador, right?
Yes.
And the El Salvador president tweeted out after hearing about the judge's order, and I quote, "Oops, too late."
Right. Well, and that's because he's also getting $6 million or something like that to take them. Okay.
Yeah.
And guarantee you that's not going to make the prison that they're going to be kept in nicer.
No. And also, oh crap, my little choo-choo train fell off the track.
Well, don't worry, because I've got your caboose. So here's my problem. Here's my problem with that whole thing. All right. One, I know that the argument from conservatives, Republicans, Trumpers, MAGA, conservative, whatever, right? That side, the argument would be you have every right to deport every illegal immediately. Okay. They broke the law. They came into the country illegally. So you have every right to deport them. Okay. I'm not going to argue that. But
let me add this in. Let me quickly add this in the court case. The judge distinctly asked for the number of people being deported to El Salvador on that flight.
Mm-hmm.
And the Trump administration said, we are not going to give you that number.
Well, here's the reason. All right. Well, let me back up a little bit. All right. My argument against this whole thing is once you're in the United States, they would argue you're not a citizen, so you're not entitled to the full protections of the laws of the United States.
Right.
I disagree with that. I think that if you're going to prosecute in the United States, it has to be by the laws of the United States. The whole point of this is so that they don't have to go through the court system with these people.
Right.
So, part of my argument would be, once you open that door, at what nationality, what point do you close that door? Okay? At what point do you go, no, you can't disappear this group of people? Right? At what point do you go, yeah, we know that your green card is in progress, and we know that you followed the law to the T. We know that you didn't come here illegally. We know that you did all the things that we want you to do to come here, and then we said, yes, you can come here. But now, oh, fuck you. And we scoop you up in the middle of the night. And we send you back to your country of origin. And if they won't take you, we'll send you to El Salvador. That's first. Second, I don't care who you are. I don't care what the law is. They knew definitively that this was going to be a circumstance in which they were being put into an El Salvadorian prison that is known for torture, abuse, and slavery. You do not have to, no matter how bad these guys were, and even if they deserved all that, you cannot convince me that all 200 of them were gang members of this particular gang. I'm sorry, you cannot convince me of that. What I do know is that there's a very good chance that there were law-abiding citizens that might have gotten scooped up as well.
Mm-hmm. True.
And just because they had a tattoo, or because they were Venezuelan, or because they were thought to be Venezuelan, or they were in the wrong apartment at the right time, there very well could be, and we don't know, because this is all done under the cover of night, essentially.
Even some citizens have been deported.
Exactly. There have been, we know that under this administration.
Yep.
So we know that they lie. You could go to the Gitmo situation.
Yes.
We know that there were people that were arrested that had no criminal background record whatsoever. So when you are trying to tell me that you're giving me a prostate exam, but I hear your pants unzip, I'm going to be more than tempted to turn around and go, what the fuck are you doing? Because I'm worried I'm about to get
your
fucked.
hands on my shoulder.
Yeah, I'm worried. It's kind of back to the old joke of the dentist, open wide, you're going to feel a little prick in your mouth. Hey, doc, I have insurance. That's where I feel we're at right now. And I don't want to, I think this is probably a good place to leave it, because that's where we're at right now. As a country, we have to start making decisions on what we're going to push back. And when I say we as a country, I mean getting out, going to your representatives meetings or town halls or whatever, and giving some
people have.
They have been, and you're seeing more of it, but we need more of it. Okay? Because the only way that you fight a dictator, and I would say that he's not a dictator yet. He's still a cunt dictator wannabe, but he hasn't put all the pieces in place to where he's an actual cunt dictator. But he's close. And the republic is definitively at stake. And if you don't see that, you're not looking. And with that, that's another Elsie's Little Pickles.